In the past, I've mentioned about how poop is kind of funny for guys. We think it's a funny word. Another funny thing is farts. I don't know why. It's, maybe it's just a guy thing. I don't know. I'm sure there's one or two women in the world right now who will fart and giggle after doing it. Or maybe it's just a guy thing. I don't know. Well, I know there's one guy in the world that doesn't necessarily think that farts are funny. Well, maybe he doesn't think they're funny because they're not his farts. Uh, David Hinkst in Australia is suing his uh, previous employer because his supervisor periodically, and when I say periodically, I mean 5 to 6 times a day, would walk into his office, do a 180, just blow one out, just toot, if you will, into his office. In fact, David Hinkst has named his supervisor, Mr. Smith, Mr. Stinky, because he is quite stinky. He, in fact, went and is pressing charges and saying that the Mr. Stinky's farts are a form of bullying. But the Supreme Court actually ruled it as it's not bullying, actually, and it's not assault either. He didn't assault him with a fart. And Mr. Hinkst even went on to say, look, there were things that he said on the phone. He called me an idiot, things like that. I tried to defend myself by spraying perfume or the cologne, trying like smell up the place with a better scent. He even had to leave the communal area to go to his own private windowless office with his back to the door just to get away from the guy. But he'd follow him in there and just rip away, causing him to just gag and get sick. That's just gross. I got a guy that does that to me at work too. It's nasty. Okay? It's one thing when it's your own, but when it's somebody else's, that's just gross. No one wants to smell you unless it's a good smell. That's a little different. So, needless to say, Mr. Hink's job, he got let go. But up until the day that he got let go, every single day, Mr. Stinky let out a stinky 5 to 6 times a day. The company, the company that he worked for, which was construction engineering in Australia, they said that he was basically just let go because of cutbacks. Right. I'm not really believing it. But nonetheless, he hated his job because one man made his job stink. Literally. My advice to Mr. Hinkst, if I was him and he ever sees this, which he probably will because this is global and people all over the world watch this and turn to me for their source of news, being a newscaster. My word of advice to you, Mr. Hinkst, or anybody else who has to tolerate somebody else's stinky butt, would be this. Eat a bunch of hard-boiled eggs. Drink protein shakes. And lots of beans. Because they're the musical fruit. The more you eat, the more you toot. The more you toot, the better you feel. So, Mr. Hinkst, you should have beans with every meal, and eggs, and protein. I should know this because I had a guy next to me at work once who drank protein shakes, and I ate eggs, and together we cleared a whole floor of our work. I can't believe I just said that. Unfortunately, I'm not very good at editing my videos, so you know more than you should right now. I should probably stop. But now you know, and knowing's half the battle. Retaliate. Make it difficult for anybody to come back on that. Like, how do you fight that when somebody, eggs and protein and beans just to help escalate it? You can't go wrong. You win every time. And there you have it. Wise words of advice from a wise newscaster. There's your Tuesday Newsday. You're welcome. With that being said, give me a thumb up. Subscribe if you haven't already, so every single Tuesday you can see this wise newscaster giving you wise advice on the news. And every Friday you can see this newscaster giving you fake news, leading you astray, making you believe that everything you just heard was real when it in fact is not. And share so other people can be confused on Fake News Friday and be wise on Tuesday. And every other day, who knows what you'll get. But you'll thank me later. That being said, we'll see ya. Bye.